Well, thank you, Deanna. And it has
Good
been a
morning.
wonderful decade. We've really learned a lot, and it's
Oh,
just been an exciting time.
good morning. Okay, so you're going to be talking about the immune system, which, if anything, in the last couple of years have taught us your immune system is key. So I'm going to turn it over to you. I can't wait for you to share all your information, and please give Ray Strand your love in the comments, everybody.
Well, thank you, Deanna. And yes, immune health. It is certainly the topic of the day. But I want to just share a little bit about me because many of you may not know my background, but I'm really a traditional, typical MD. For the first 23 years of my medical practice, I pretty much did everything I could to get my patients off supplements. I thought they just created expensive urine, was a waste of money. And I told my patients that. But I want to even reflect back. When I received my MD degree, I thought I had become that true healthcare expert I always dreamed and wanted to be. But now that I've been in nutritional and preventive medicine for the last 25 years of my medical practice, specializing in that, I look back at this first half of my medical career and I realized I was not a healthcare expert. I was a disease care expert. I knew how to treat diseases. I knew my drugs. I knew how to work up patients. I felt I was a very good diagnostician. And I thought, hey, this is the way it is. But if you were to ask me about health, and many of my patients did, because they thought I was a healthcare expert, I knew nothing about protecting health, about regaining health if they've lost it, other than writing my drugs. And so now that I look back, I have become that healthcare expert that I've always wanted to be. And I'll tell you, this last 2 years, dealing with this pandemic has really opened my eyes to what we have been teaching all this time. I started back in 1995 in this whole journey, and I learned everything. I've written books on weight loss, on diabetes, and everything that way, but also on the health benefits of nutritional supplementation. I've written books on health, but the thing that really I want to put it together when it comes to immune health, because this is where it is. And everything we've talked about, everybody on the panel today has really talked about it, because think about what we have learned this past 2 years. We've seen pandemics before. We're going to see more in the future. Viruses are not going to go away. Bacteria, we're going to be here. We got to live with this. But, I, as a physician, always wanted my patients to have a healthy immune system. I've dealt with people with compromised immune systems, whether it was with AIDS, someone going through chemotherapy, just coming out of ICU because of everything that way. So what happens is that you know that these people who have a compromised, weakened immune system struggle. They don't do as well as my patients that have a healthy immune system and are in good health. Well, what this pandemic has taught me is that there are many more people. Just think about it. Now, young children in this pandemic had no problem because they have a viable immune system. They do very, very well. And this is something that we have seen. In fact, any child under the age of 10, the chances of them having trouble if they get infected with the coronavirus, 1 in 5 million have trouble. So this is something that we deal with, and it's not a problem. Even if you're under the age of 20, you don't see any really significant problem. I mean, maybe 1 in a million have problems. As you get a little older, yeah, but what do they say? If your health is good, if you have a healthy immune system, it's not an issue until you get over age 70. We talk about comorbidities, but what are we talking about? What I have learned is people that are even 15 to 20 pounds overweight, their immune system is compromised and it is weakened. If they develop prediabetes, it's even worse. And obviously, if they're diabetic, it's really tough. I've treated now well over 150 patients who have been infected with COVID. And I get really concerned when they're just overweight. If they're diabetic, it's really a struggle. So I've learned that it's not just those people that are taking chemotherapy or have an autoimmune disease and are taking methotrexate or all of these different drugs. So everything is coming to a head now, and we realize that this is really where life is now. And everything I have been teaching has come to this point. And I think we're going to see a change in medicine, where we're not just relying on drugs or everything. The truth is coming out. We got to rely on our body's own natural defense systems. This is really key. And so what I want to share with you, well, how do you get and optimize your natural immune system? Well, let me tell you, I have promoted this from the very beginning. It's a concept called cellular nutrition. And I believe it's just part of a healthy lifestyle. Now, I've always promoted in my medical practice eating a healthy diet. And Dr. Ginger went through this very well, because you have to eat healthy food, because the greatest drug we put in our mouth, the foods we choose to eat. That's really critical to understand. I also believe in a modest, consistent exercise program. But what I've learned over all these years is the absolute best way to optimize your natural immune system is taking high quality, complete, and balanced nutritional supplements. This is really where it is. And I really define cellular nutrition as taking all these essential nutrients at their optimal or advanced levels. Those are their levels that have been shown to provide a health benefit in our medical literature. Now, this is key. Well, if you look at any of my books and you look at what I recommend as cellular nutrition, it takes up 2 pages of my book. And when my patients see this, they kind of go into a cold shake. You mean I got to take all these pills? No. I said, there are fine companies, New Age is leading the pack, where we have actually put all of these into 2 bottles. And it's Optimal V and Optimal M. So these are advanced optimal levels. We've looked at every nutrient. We've gotten the best absolute, raw products and put them together in a manufacturing facility that is FDA registered, that follows USP, that can also produce over-the-counter drugs. And we test them with third parties. So everything we tell you is correct. That's why we can guarantee this in 100% potency. I mean, it's the quality. This is what I want, because I want my patients to get all of the health benefits they can from each of these nutrients. But we put them together, and all you have to do to have cellular nutrition is take 3 Optimal B and 2 Optimal M's in the morning with food, and then again in the evening with food. Pretty easy. It's a really simple lifestyle change, but it's critical to your health. And this is what's very important. But I also want to share, when you put all this together, there's another concept that comes in, and it's called synergy. Now, we study vitamin C by itself, or we'll do vitamin D or selenium or magnesium. All the studies that you see in the medical literature are usually studying one nutrient at a time. But vitamin E is not a drug. So even though we actually study these like drugs, they aren't drugs. These are simply nutrients we get from our foods. But because we can supplement, we can now get them at levels you can't obtain from your food. And this is what's critical, but they all work together. So antioxidants, you want a wide variety of different antioxidants, which we have in the optimals. And the reason is they work against different free radicals in different parts of the body. And they are they're basically an army. But they need support from the B cofactors, vitamin B1, 2, 6, folic acid, because the antioxidants need those to do their job. But they also need the optimal levels of what we call antioxidant minerals. They need these to do their job. Well, I don't have to worry about it to my patients or myself or my family because it's all in the optimals. We just put it together. And I have learned through testing that within 6 months, all of the nutritional deficiencies are brought up to their optimal levels, but also those supporting nutrients we bring up to their optimal levels. This is what's key. And so this is just part of a healthy lifestyle. It's not something you try a month and say, oh, I don't feel any different. But along with a healthy diet, exercise, this is what I recommend. So what are the health benefits you can get and receive by doing cellular nutrition? Well, I've written and documented this all in my books, but it actually is about health. It's not about disease because it optimizes our body's natural defense systems. And initially, it's going to optimize your body's natural antioxidant defense system. But look at number 2, the same supplementation. The medical literature shows it optimizes our body's natural immune system. And that's really important in this day and age. I mean, I want to have a healthy, optimized immune system. It's critical. But it also optimizes your body's natural repair system. And this is what is critical. And so, but when it comes to your immune system, this past 2 years, we have found many clinical studies that are coming out that are critical for viral infections. So let's look at those because this is where we're in. We're in the middle of a pandemic and hopefully we're coming out. But vitamin C, they're showing that if you get in at least 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, significantly improves and protects you, improves your immune system, protects you against getting an infection from any virus, flu bug, influenza A, anything. It is critical. And the optimals provide 1,350 milligrams of the most potent vitamin C, which are ascorbates. In fact, they're 5 times more potent against oxidative stress than straight ascorbic acid. But that's the way New Age has put this together. But one of the key nutrients is vitamin D3. Now, vitamin D3 has been shown if we take it in supplementation, and you're over 1,000 to, let's say 2,000 international units, which, by the way, is in the optimals of vitamin D3, you can literally reduce your exposure or chances of getting COVID by 80%. Just the one nutrient, vitamin D. It is just critical, and it's already in the optimals. If you've been taking the optimals, you're being protected. And so what happens is that if you were doing blood tests, and I do a lot of blood levels on vitamin D, if you're over what we call 50 nanograms, you rarely get infected with COVID, but even if you do, they're not ending up in the hospital or needing anything. You get through the infection very easily. Another critical nutrient is zinc. Now, zinc is important because it is able, when it's inside the cell, and remember, viruses can't live outside the cell. They have to get into the cell to replicate. But zinc actually blocks the replication of viruses, all viruses. So zinc is a real critical antiviral nutrient. It's not a drug. It's just a nutrient we get from our foods. But this is one thing we found. But here's the key. We got to get the zinc into the cell to where it can do it. Well, comes the new nutrient on the block, quercetin. Quercetin actually, what we call a zinc ionophore. It actually transports the zinc into the cell. And this is critical. So the concentration of the zinc that you do have is inside the cell, where it is a major player in protecting you against viral infections or allowing you to heal quicker, better, without complications. Then another nutrient I've used for years in my patients that are receiving chemo, coming out, who've got a compromised immune system, even those who have AIDS, is CoQ10. And CoQ10 is very important for every cell in production of energy. In fact, it's responsible for over 90% of the energy produced in every cell. But as we age, that goes down, and supplementing that is critical for our immune system. Now, every cell, it's important that you have good levels of CoQ10, but it's really important if you look at the high energy cells like your heart, like your brain, and like your immune system. So this is what's critical. Now, what we find is that you have the optimals, but this is important because you get the minerals, you get everything. But what I am encouraging my patients now is consider adding a very potent juice. Now, we have 3 choices that I think are the best in the market today. I mean, we've got noni, we've got limu, and we've got moa, and they're just loaded with superfoods, superfruits. You got mushrooms, all of this, which also we know enhance and optimize our immune system. But when you add them to the optimals, or you add the optimals, if that's what you're doing right now, is taking a juice, it's like Batman and Robin. They work together. And in this age of where we are in a pandemic, you want to really be, hitting on all cylinders. And this is one way you do it, because there's a concept I write in my books. It's called oxidative stress, which is the dark side of oxygen. Oxidative stress, we're basically rusting inside. So the same process that turns a cut apple brown or rust metal is rusting us inside, and it's oxidative stress, the dark side of oxygen. But here's the key. We have a natural antioxidant defense system, and balance is the key. You want to have enough antioxidants on board to handle the number of free radicals you're producing and their supporting nutrients. And then there is none. But, because of our polluted environment, the pollutants in our air, food, and water, and then you look at, our stressful lifestyle, our over-medicated society, this generation has to deal with more free radicals production, which is the basically cellular exhaust of the cell. We need to neutralize that, but this is why we need to be taking supplementation. So this is what I add and I recommend for my patients. Now, Dr. Pena covered this very well, and I'm not going to get into it in detail, but healthy GI tract is also crucial for a healthy immune system. So our immune health is really related, and he kind of started to explain, we don't just have antibodies, that's there. We have an army in our immune system. We have T cells, B cells, CD4 helper cells, memory cells, killer cells. And so they attack the infections right on. Antibodies come later. So taking high quality probiotics, which New Age has, he had the 7 dwarfs, but we actually have 15 dwarfs. It looks like in our probiotic, right? So what happens is this is where we are. The other thing, though, because of our foods and the toxins and everything that we're exposed to in our environment, I recommend my patients periodically detoxify. And of course, Dr. Ginger hit on this, but what are the best things? Zeolite, spirulina, chlorella, activated charcoal, which just happens to be the highest quality of each one of those in restoring. So this is something that we ought to consider depending on your exposure and where everything is. So a healthy immune system, it has to be a healthy GI also. So in summary, I'm just going to tell you, optimizing your natural immune system is cellular nutrition with a high focus on these key supplements like vitamin C, vitamin D3, zinc, quercetin, and you could throw in there CoQ10. Now, I would add a potent juice of your choice. I mean, we've got wonderful juices. They're just amazing. And I would just pick your favorite and add it to optimals. If you're taking a juice now and that's all you're doing, consider adding the optimals to your juice. and then maintaining optimal GI health, which includes eating healthy organic food, high fiber. I'm a really promoter of high fiber. We don't get enough fiber. And obviously the probiotics. Periodic detoxification. But here's the key. We have to have a healthy weight. And Dr. Ginger talked about, I wrote a book, Healthy for Life, that really talks about, we talk about hormonal balance. The main problem with weight and where we are is we've lost our sensitivity to our own insulin. We become resistant to it. And so these healthy lifestyles improve insulin sensitivity. And that's key to maintaining a healthy weight and keeping it off and having it be permanent weight loss. So they all work together. Do you see the obesity, building up your natural immune system, immune health? Now, I want to end with maybe just some hope on this whole pandemic situation. I really believe we need to be looking at our general health. You're not going to go to the doctor and say, hey, save me, save me. You can have a tremendous effect. And everybody decides sometime in their life, something comes along that they finally decide to make changes in their lifestyle, in their health. Deanna was able to get her father and see the light, at least to give her a chance. Well, the pandemic in my practice and what I'm seeing in my patients, they're coming in, what can I do to optimize my health and do this? And so this is a time. This may be where you take a look at your entire health, and it all works. It all works together. But nutritional supplementation is key. But I want to end with something. We're seeing the Omicron variant at this time. And when I've been dealing with the Delta and the Wuhan and all this, and people are really getting sick. And the trouble with this pandemic is some people get really sick, and it can be a death sentence. But here's the thing. Omicron is very, very infectious. And I'm dealing with a lot of it right now, and people are concerned. But what is neat about Omicron is it's basically a Christmas present. And the reason is it's changed enough, it's weakened, it's about 1/10 as lethal as the original COVID-19. But the thing is, it does not affect the lungs. It's an upper respiratory infection. And the beauty of that is it's a head cold, but you get a tremendous immune response. And I think the one thing we have forgotten this whole pandemic is our natural immunity. Natural immunity, we just don't give any credit. We don't do anything. But let me tell you, your natural immunity is robust. It's broad spectrum. And we're thinking it may be even permanent. And we've done that because we've looked at COVID-19 that came, SARS-1 back in 2003. Those people, after 18 years, still have robust immunity. Our antibodies, yeah, they drift down, but they're the last thing. But you got those CD4 memory cells, they remember. You got killer cells, you've got all this, the T cells working. So what's happening with Omicron is it's infecting everybody. It's so volatile. People that are vaccinated, people that are unvaccinated, we're all in this together. But what it is you're coming out with a tremendous natural immunity. And that's exciting for a physician because it has the chance, the potential that we may get out of this pandemic. And the thing is, we're all in it together, but your best defense against this virus, a future virus, bacteria, is your natural immune system yourself. And you have tremendous ability. I've just shared with you, the panel has shared with you, all of the keys to help you help yourself. So with that, Deanna, I'm going to end and turn it back to you.
Ray, I just love you and your wife, Liz, and I thank you for the gifts that you give out to the world.